Hello and what is going on, you guys? Hyperion-Blue-GT here for starting off in round 9 of season 2 for the 2021 exhibition series for the Nations Cup on Gran Turismo Sport. We are getting closer towards the final round at the end of 2021 in season 2. So right now we're going in to take on 15 laps around in Fuji International Speedway for the Group 3 category. We'll be ready to go for having a rolling start by having 2 required tires in the mandatory. Determinations whenever you're going to have to choose for the hard or medium racing compound tires will be suitable to go faster by the limits. So let's choose your Group 3 race car and head on over to the track. So I'll be recommend using with the Chevy Corvette C7 Group 3 with the UDRS InSportec that I have been recently used in the manufacturer series, but also to be as a purchase from the brand Central will be selected to be in the recommendation. Balance of performance regulations will be setting up automatically, and let's do this, you guys. Take a lot of practice to join in session to take the lobby. The end is near for season 2 of the exhibition series, and we're about to take the 9th round before next week on Wednesdays we'll be doing the final showdown before New Year's Eve will come. Goodwood Motor Circuit for the Mini Cooper S 1965 to be labeled in the 1-make category. We'll be going right back to the classics. If you're new to my YouTube channel, go and click the subscribe button and leave a like and comment at the session down below, and check out the links on the description if you really want to see more. Feel free to enjoy anytime you want for the entertainment. Now it's time to get ready to start the race, and let's begin. The 2021 Exhibition Series Nations Cup is about to go underway in the 9th round at Fuji International Speedway for the Group 3 cars. Let's go over with the drivers and head on over to be in the rolling start position. Now we have Kudos in first place in the Peugeot RCZ Group 3, Ine BXL in second place for the Chevy Corvette C7 Group 3, followed by myself in third place for the UDRS InSportec livery. Fan72 is here choosing the Jaguar F-Type Group 3 in 4th place, and we have Julian ATL in the Porsche 911 RSR Type 991 will be at 5th place, followed by Nabel 45 in 6th place will be using the same car, and for the 7th place driver, Quad Rider 1979 in the RCZ Group 3. Thierry for Rojas F in 8th place for the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3, and here's Hoka's Dad 757 in 9th place for the Corvette C7 Group 3. David ADSS 5588 is here in 10th place. Next up, Silent_Boy in 11th place with the Peugeot RCZ Group 3. Good to go. GP MX24 is here, entered in 12th place for the Porsche 911 RSR. Hike Big Ford 65 is choosing the Volkswagen Beetle Group 3 in 13th place. Fast Ginger 2 in 14th place for the Porsche 911 RSR. Hu Chamburger is now raring to go to be in the 15th place in the RCZ Group 3. Next up, Racer X18 in the same car at 16th place. Street Zog in 17th place for the BMW M3 GT in the 2011 model. And here's Timmy O5 in 18th place for the Corvette C7 Group 3. TNT_Canuck is now choosing in to have the Toyota GR Supra to be in the 19th position. Alright. Now, looks like it's time to get ready to take on 15 laps in Fuji International Speedway to have a good full course to be on the rolling start. So keep an eye out on lap number 7, people. This race is going to be quite turns out to have a best recommendation whenever we have to go faster to climb up onto the top 3 position. 3 seconds, and here we go, and let's get it on to be in the 9th round in the 2nd season of the 2021 Exhibition Series for the Nations Cup will be on the way. Looks like Kudos is now takes the front line to be in the first place leading position. Take the braking point onto turn number 1 to be at the TGR corner. Very good. Looks like NA BXO is staying on right of the connection while UDRS Insportec is going faster to take the push. Turn 2 is going clear and make our way to be on turn 3 at the Coca-Cola. Better make sure to have a good sector to be moved on into the second part. 100R dives down onto turn 4 and 5. And looks like this is going to be quite good for only 2 Chevys are on the chase to catch up onto Pescia, because the best recommendation for Group 3 cars will be suitable to have a good, excellent battle to be in the 9th round to be in the Nations Cup. Hairpin is going clear onto turn number 7 and press on to be in turn 8. 300R is coming in onto turn 9 for the Pescia to be in the first position and hit the braking point onto the Dunlop and turn 10. Very good and excellent mobility connection line for Insportec in the Chevy Corvette C7 Group 3, followed by an NA BXL in 2nd and 3rd place. Climbing up onto the 13 and head on over to be in the nets in turn 14 and 15. Have that braking point to be coming over onto the Panasonic to be in turn 16, and keep pressing in by having a good maintained pace for Insportec, while NA BXL is keep pushing away from the current distance, is now going over onto the hill climb position. But here it comes, folks. The full straightaway will be on the roll towards the first lap before moving on into lap number 2. And that makes for Nobel 45 and the Porsche 911 RSR is going in to catch up by Insportec. To have a good sight of the field distance, we'll have to go for the advantage. Here's Kudo's lap time, 1 minute and 47.11 seconds. Very good and fantastic. Now onward to be in lap number 2. Going down onto TGR at turn 1 and 2 and press on to be reached over onto turn 3 at the Coca-Cola. Looks like NA is still got a good line out there to catch up onto Kudos in first place. 1 Corvette in 2nd place, followed by UDRS Insportec in 3rd position, is now going in to take the runner on defense. Passing through onto the 100R and hit the braking point onto turn 6 and goes onward to be in turn 7 by having a good exact current position to be on the line. Very excellent, and take that defense is about to get closer by Nobel 45 and the Porsche 911 RSR in position number 4. Save a good braking point onto turn 10 to be at the Dunlop. Sector 3 will be going right back onto the hill climb section onto the track. Coming in onto the 13th turn will be pressed over and have that inside position. And ABXL is still tries to keep pushing up to catch up onto Kudos, and the Pescia RCZ Group 3 is going a little bit further by over 1 second behind of the range of the gap, along with UDRS Insportec. Press on to be in the final turn, and here it comes again. Full straightaway, we all know the drill. Have that good excellent speed, and looks like Nobel 45 has a good slight build opportunity. Will be catching up onto UDRS Insportec in about 0.4 seconds behind of the range of the gap. Keeping an eye out onto the radar and press on to be in the 3rd lap for only 12 more to go by the remaining. Here's for the update on Nobel 45's lap time. 1 minute and 40.181 seconds is now incredible to have a good best recommend pick by using the Pescia RCZ Group 3 to take the lead. And also for the last minute, Nobel 45 and the Porsche 911 RSR overtakes UDRS Insportec after passing through onto turn number 1 at the TGR corner. Now comes in to be in the 2nd sector at the 100R in turn 5. Will Insportec will have to catch up onto Nobel 45 to go right back in onto 3rd position. But clearly, it was a most reliable pick to have a good Porsche race car to be climbing up onto the top 3 position. But looks like NA BXL is now having some slight defense while going faster to take the offense to be reached up onto turn 10. Sector 3 will be coming right back in onto the 3rd lap, and Nobel 45 will be going in to take the next turn. We'll have to go over onto the hill climb. Keeping a good braking point onto the 13, passes through onto the 14 to be at the nets at the enter part, and take the left turn is going harder to be having some left steering response. But here it comes. Looks like the Panasonic will be coming in once again at turn number 16. Stay a good line of a connection, and inside of the apex is going to be quite getting near towards it. Very good and average. And now Insportec is going in to take an offense to push up onto Nobel 45. But heads up, Nobel 45 is changing up different lanes by having a defense to be on the struggle. It's about to get a little bit serpentine, and Insportec is going to increase the acceleration to be moving on into the 4th lap, and here it comes. Braking point at turn number 1 is going to be a little bit slightly risk, and Insportec is climbing back onto 3rd place. That's the ticket. Nivelle 45 and the Porsche 911 RSR almost barely had the chance to catch up and presses on to be in turn number 3 at the Coca-Cola corner. Now it's time to switch from the offense into defense for Insportec in the Chevy Corvette C7 Group 3, but it was incredible. To see how Insportec barely pulled its own skills by dealing with the stronger opponents whenever it comes in to be in the top 5 position. After taking through onto turn number 7, now comes in again at turn number 8 towards the 300R at turn 9. Hit the braking point to be at the Dunlop to be in sector 3, and here it goes. Inside cornering is doing well, and take turn 11 and 12. Going average, going twice, and the defense stays active. Very good. Now that's very good to see how Insportec can actually try to stay on the struggle to be in the 3rd position. But looks like Nivelle 45 still takes a little bit more defense to have to switch over onto the offense. But the full straightaway after taking turn number 16 is going to be having a different turn. But here goes nothing for Nivelle 45, 0.3 seconds behind the range of the gap. I got him on sights, and let's see how he can do it, because the secret strategy is going to be quite giving a hard effort to see how the FR versus the mid-engine layout is going to be quite giving a hard time to see it. Going in onto the right side, and here comes the side-by-side onto lap number 5 for only 10 more to go by the remaining. Nivelle 45 is now climbing back onto 3rd position, and Insportec stays down onto the 4th position for only 2 laps to go. Clearly, it was definitely might be quite having a good, stronger Group 3 car to take on in Fuji International Speedway for the 9th round of the Nations Cup in the 2021 Exhibition Series. But this is all about having an excellent battle to take on for having a 3rd position to be reached over onto the podium. But be on a reminder, folks, 2 more laps remaining until we're about to be going in onto the 7th lap. Press on to take turn number 8, and here comes the 300R at turn 9. Press on towards the end of the 2nd sector before going right back onto sector 3 in the Dunlop in turn 10. Nivelle 45 and the Porsche 911 RSR is going over onto the 13th turn to be reached up by having a hill climb position. Cornering is going well effect. Inside of the apex is doing remarkable. Now press on to be in the nets in turn 14 and 15. Insportec is still barely tries to keep holding on to its own pressure grip, and press on to take the 16th turn at the Panasonic. Going right back in onto the full straightaway, and Insportec in the Chevy Corvette C7 Group 3 is now resumed to have that progress to be increased for the acceleration to catch up onto the Nivelle 45 and the Porsche 911 RSR. So I have to keep an eye out. Moving on into lap number 6, and the slipstream is going to be a little bit longer out there by only 0.8 seconds up ahead. After passing through onto the TGR corner in turn 1, press down onto turn 2 before going right back onto the Coca-Cola in turn 3 at the end of the 1st sector before moving on into sector 2. But however, UDRS Insportec still tries to do its best out there to be moving on into the 4th position, but it might have a few more distance to go, for Hokastad 757 is now currently to be at 2.5 seconds to be on the range of the gap. But it's going to get a little bit longer out there to see how Nivelle 45 is actually trying to keep it up to catch up onto NABXL in 2nd place by using the same Corvette C7 Group 3 in a different livery. So now comes in to take turn 10 in sector 3, passing through onto turn 11 and 12 and going up the hill onto the terrain and pass through onto the 13th. But Nivelle 45 is still barely tries to keep going at it by having a good response of the mobility in the Porsche 911 RSR. But the battle is going to be quite very challenging out there to be in the 9th race, folks. In the 2nd season, it will be quite comes in by having a good best capability, by having a good stopping point to be on the recommendation for having a mandatory requirement. So here it comes, folks. Lap number 6 is coming in towards the end, and moving on to take lap number 7 would be suitable to have the tire requirement to be on the recommendation. If anything possible, to be using with the medium or hard racing compound tires to be starting out in the first lap, that will be able to go over onto the pits before presses on to be in the 8th lap. But here it comes. Looks like NA-BXL is now getting closer to have that defense before Nibel 45 is closing in about 1 second to go by the range of the gap. Press on after taking turn 2 and goes over onto the Coca-Cola in turn 3 in sector 2, dives down onto turn 4 and 5 at the 100R section, is now going to be having some good slight speed effect. Coming in onto the hairpin to be reached up onto turn number 6 and have that good position onto the right line in turn 7. Look at sorry about that. Look at them go, you guys. Nibel 45 is now going in to have that offense push to catch up onto NA-BXL. It was so incredible to see how Porsche is now staying on the ongoing rush to catch up, for another Chevy Corvette is now reached over onto the 3rd sector. Passing through onto the 13, and here it comes. The defense is about to get a little bit close in. Nibel 45 pushes in and have that blocking defense for NA-BXL. Passes through onto the 16th turn, and here it comes. The full straightaway is going to be quite having a second advantage for Nibel 45, and the Porsche 911 RSR is now having a good line of the defense. So keep an eye out, folks. The top 5 drivers is now currently to have a good run to be pressed on to be in the 8th lap. If anything possible for several drivers, whenever might have to go over onto the pits, will have to switch over by having a main mandatory requirement. Lap number 8, here we go, and let's continue on to be reached over onto turn 1. NA-BXL is still got this, folks. One Corvette is staying on in 2nd place, while the 3rd place, Nibel 45 and the Porsche 911 RSR is still going in to be in the 3rd position. However, UDRS Insportec is having a little bit more grip effect, is having a little bit more trouble issue. But looks like we have GP MX24 is closing in about 6 seconds to be on the range of the gap. But look at them go, you guys. Several drivers are now gunning in to take the battle for 5th place, and here's Hike Big Ford 65 in 6th place, followed by Julian ATL currently into 7th position. Passes through onto turn 10 to 12 and comes right back again onto 13th. Having that handling turn is going to be having a little bit more heavy effect. Gonna have to keep going in onto turn 14 and 15. Nets is now doing a challenging situation, and here comes the Panasonic again in turn 16. Will NA-BXL can actually tries to stay on the defense, while Nibel 45 and the Porsche 911 RSR is now going on the offense, is still on the edge. One Corvette, one Porsche is now pressing on for having a good, excellent battle for 2nd place. Will be moving on to be in the 9th lap. But let's do this, you guys. Let's see how NA-BXL can actually try to keep things up. But hold on, looks like Nibel is going in by having a side-by-side to be timed down on to turn number 1 at the TGR corner. And looks like Porsche is now overtakes NA-BXL, and the Corvette C7 Group 3 drops down on to 3rd position. Almost barely had the chance, and another Corvette is now pressing down onto the bronze position, and Porsche is now moving in to be in the silver position. That was so incredible out there to have that good defense for NA-BXL and the Chevy Corvette C7 Group 3. But this makes a good clear advantage for Nibel 45, and the Porsche 911 RSR is still moving in to be on the 2nd position to catch up on to Kudo 00 in the Peugeot RCZ Group 3. But it was so incredible to see how one Corvette barely lost control of the defense, while Porsche is now going for the overtake. Now coming in onto the 3rd sector after passing through to the 13, reached up onto turn 14 and 15 at the nets. Will NA-BXL can actually climb back onto the silver position, while Nibel 45 is now switching over to be on the defense. But here comes turn number 16 at the Panasonic, and goes over onto the full straightaway once again. There you go. Looks like Team Chevy is now going over to have that right side for the direction. But heads up, looks like this is going to be having two company will be enter the pits, including UDRS and Sportec will be joining in as well. Perfect Time makes a good recommendation to be switched over onto the different tire compound. We'll be doing the first mandatory requirement to be as a good suitable effect. So let's see how Julian ATL is climbing up onto the second position, and here it goes. 3 cars are entered the pits, will be switched up onto a different tire compound to be switched from medium into hard racing compound tires. Refuel needed, and it's about the good to go. Will be exit out onto the pits. Very good onto the pit time, and stop duration will be paused at any time during the competition, and drops down onto 7th place for UDRS in Sportec, was being overtaken by Hokastad 757, presses on to be in position number 6. There's Nebel 45 right now in 3rd place, folks. Followed by Ine BXL in the Corvette C7 Group 3 is now currently in 5th place, while Hokastad 757 is now currently to be passing through onto the hairpin in turn 6 and press on to be in turn 7. Earlier at the start, turn 8 will be closing in to be at turn 9 in the 300R, but that will be quite giving some good Group 3 race cars will have to go on for having a struggle of the advantage. Hit the braking point onto turn 10 in sector number 3. Sportec could probably have to do that chicane in turn 11 and 12. Here comes the 13. Slow down and have that good set of the hard racing compound to be effect. And here's Kudos in the Pesciat RC set Group 3, folks. Enters the pits and switched over onto the hard racing compound tires after being used for the medium racing compound to be well currently to be having some good wear out effect. And there goes Julian ATL, folks. But wait, looks like Kudos is now climbing back up onto the top position, but it's not giving up yet, folks. One Pesciat is now going in to take the defense by having a good front line to be pressed on for only 4 more laps to go by the remaining. We're entered the 11th lap, folks. We can still do this. We can still actually got this before the 9th round of the Nations Cup in the 2021 Exhibition Series takes a good, brilliant, brighter start to be pressed on to be in next week. We'll be at Goodwood Motor Circuit for the 1-make category. But we have already know because I just putting up with a single voice line recording in the first single part of the clip before the race began. Now passing through onto turn 5 after taking turn 4 in the 100R. Keeping up and have that braking point to be on turn number 6 at the hairpin. Mobility is still at the response. But here comes GP MX24, closest in for only 1.3 seconds onto the range of the gap from behind. Gonna have to keep an eye out if UDRS and Sportec could actually try to keep things up onto the defense. Press on to be in turn 10 to 12 in the Dunlop. Keep a good steady inside formation and going right up top of the hill into the 13th. Very good. Staying on track and have that next corner on to turn 14 and 15. Touch that apex and going up onto the final corner in turn 16 in the Panasonic. But hold on, looks like David ADSS 5588 is about to be closing in onto UDRS and Sportec by having a last second update. One Mercedes-Benz is closing in onto Team Chevy in 7th position. Moving on to take the 12th lap is now getting closer towards the end, folks. 3 more to go by the remaining. There's David right now, passing through onto turn 1 at the TGR, and oh boy, looks like this cannot be good. It's Ford Fan 72, folks, having a slightly losing control at turn number 2 at the incident. This may cause for an instant replay for the investigation, but clearly one of the Group 3 racer just barely had a good lineup of the mobility because the tires is having some slight difficult issue. But clearly, for the main mandatory requirement to be recommendation, we'll have to stop at lap number 7 towards 8 because the only reminder is going to be quite needed for some checking for the tires before we have to press on towards the final lap of the race. Will be needed to have 2 tires to be labeled onto the recommendation to do the mandatory. So let's go on to have that epic battle to catch up on to David. ADSS 5588 in the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 is going up the hill onto the 13th corner to be passed on to be in turn 14 at the nets. Insportec, it still takes a lot of push out there to be going up the hill to dominance to be reached over onto the final corner. So I have to keep an eye out on David in 6th place. Here comes the Panasonic. Take that inside to be going for some progress to do the slipstream. And here comes Julian ATL in the hard racing compound tires. By enter the pits will be switched over onto a different tire compound to be switched over onto the yellow medium. So we have to keep an eye out. Going green onto the hard is going to be suitable to be starting out on the middle or the back since the first lap of the race. Luckily for UDRS, Insportec is pressing on to be in 6th position to be passed over onto turn 1 in the 13th lap. That's more like it. Just keep pressing forwards. UDRS Insportec is getting closer to catch up onto the 5th place driver in turn number 3 at the 2nd sector. Brilliant. Very good and brilliant. 100R is going well, successful. Now gonna have to take the offense. We'll have to switch over. Insportec has the gun right in onto turn 6 and 7 at the hairpin before going right back onto turn 8 and 9 in the 300R. But luckily in turn 10 to 12 it's going to be taking the braking point at the Dunlop, so this is going to be having some good progression. It's going to be suitable to be on the inside of the first touch of the apex. There you go, right at the good respawn again, and continue to chase to catch up onto David in 5th place for the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 is entered onto the 14th turn again. Stay a good, maintain pace. Alright, stay at it. So looks like Kudo 00 is still got this one, folks. But hold on, looks like it's Julian ATL is now coming in to have the right side in the Porsche 911 RSR with a livery that has the title Black Lives Matter. Yep, looks like we have a Gran Turismo player who has that Black Lives Matter decal in it to be on the side. So this makes a good slightly opportunity. We'll have to give a warm, friendly welcome. So let's go over onto the 14th lap and let's press on for Julian ATL in the Porsche 911 RSR to have a decal livery to have the Black Lives Matter variant in it. So this makes the 6th position. We'll be going in to catch up onto David ADSS 5588 in the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 is now pressing through onto the 2nd sector in turn 4 and 5 at the 100R. Keep up the pace out there, folks. This race is about to be over soon, in about one more lap to go until Kudo 00 takes the win at the podium in the Nations Cup in round 9. So heads up, looks like Nabel 45 in the Porsche 911 RSR is climbing right back onto 2nd place, followed by Ine BXL in the Chevy Corvette C7 Group 3 is now entered onto the top 3 position again. But clearly for some stronger drivers whenever they have to try to keep things going, because 15 laps makes a pretty good matter for only a total time by over 25 minutes since the race began. And then here it comes, the final showdown, and the final lap will be able to reach up for Kudo 00 in a Peugeot RCZ Group 3 takes on to have a right boat defense to be ongoing in 1st place. Luckily, this makes a pretty good, remarkable race to have a good slight moment out there to be in Fuji International Speedway for having a good, brighter day in the afternoon sunny condition. So let's do this. Let's make ourselves to be pressed on to be in the final race, no matter the cost. So let's see how Julian ATL in the Porsche 911 RSR is keep pushing forward to be pressed on after taking turn 1 in the TGR corner before entered onto turn 2. But looks like David ADSS 5588 in the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 is getting closer to catch up onto the 4th place driver. There it is right now. 3 cars are now entered onto the 100R in turn 4 and 5. That makes for Hoka's dad 757 in the Corvette C7 Group 3 is slowing down, and UDRS and Sportec will be switching places to be continue on to do the final push. Kudos 00 just gonna have to make its final chance to be reached up onto top of the hill in Sector 3. The final corner is gonna be passed through onto the Panasonic. Kudos 00 takes that defense, and oh boy, looks like NABXL just barely lost control of the grid in turn 15 and enters onto the 16th turn. The final straightaway draws near, folks, and Kudos 00 takes the win in the 9th round in the 2021 Exhibition Series in the Nations Cup. Kudos 00 in the Peugeot RCZ Group 3 takes the win in the podium finish. That was an incredible race out there to have a wonderful Peugeot to have a good spotlight to be stepped in onto the finish line. Way to go, Kudos 00. You did a magnificent job, well done. But hold on, something's not right. It may change up automatically to be forcefully to be dropped down onto 3rd place. But that makes Kudos 00 will be ended up onto 6th place to be moved automatically, while UDRS Sportec takes 5th place to be climbed up by default. So ladies and gentlemen, the Fel 45 and the Porsche 911 RSR takes the win by having a good responsible moment to see how one Porsche takes the win to have a good default moment to be in the highlights. Followed by NABXL in the Corvette C7 Group 3, and for Julian ATL in the Porsche 911 RSR takes a 3rd position to be moved forward automatically. So that makes 2 Porsche and a Corvette to be in the top 3 finish. So that was a very good job out there, ladies and gentlemen. Round 9 makes a good successful race for the Group 3 category to be climbing up onto the top 5 position. But it was so brilliant and a most respectful moment to be taking part to have a good race at Fuji International Speedway. Results confirmed, and let's see how we can do our best out there to have some good points to be racking up. Yeah, 5th place is now marked on the clean effort. Wow, I cannot believe it, but so good out there for today, folks. So good out there for today's race to be in the 9th round. We'll be moving on towards the final race in Season 2 towards the end. So let's collect some earnings and give a good congratulations to Nabel 45 in ABXL and Julian ATL for having a good spotlight to have a good top 3 finish. There you go. A perfect miracle race for the 9th round in the Nations Cup of the 2021 Exhibition Series for having a good race at Fuji International Speedway for only one Corvette in the 2nd position, and for the Porsche 911 RSR in 1st and 3rd place. But the spectators really love to see how Corvette and Porsche can battle out to be in the top 3 position until the final lap is going to be marked onto the podium check to be well endorsed. The replay will be taking part for the highlights, and then the final race will be scheduled on next week. We'll be doing one more Wednesday to be in round 10 at Goodwood Motor Circuit for the Mini Cooper S 1965 to be in the 1-make category. For all the best times racing around in Fuji International Speedway by having 2 mandatory requirements, but sometimes having a 1-minute penalty may end up automatically to be forcefully to be dropped down onto the different position. But sometimes you have to go again to enter for another race entry by having another chance. The final race for Season 2 of the Nations Cup in the Exhibition Series is upon us, you guys, so make sure we have to go forward onto the Manufacturer Series will be on Saturday to celebrate Christmas. The most wonderful time of the year. Thank you for tuning in on my video, folks. I hope you really enjoy. So make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, bell for notification uploads to be turned on, and the links on the description down below if you really want to see more. You can check it out on Instagram, Deepinit Art, GT Planet, and other social media platforms if you really want to follow me. And don't forget to support my main project, Vision Total Drama, the next chapter of the Total Drama fan art to support the community. I'll be seeing you guys next time for continue on in Season 2 of the 2021 Exhibition Series Nations Cup on Gran Turismo Sport, and I will see you later in the next video. Keep on racing, stay clean.